Well, welcome again, everybody, to another episode here of the Virtual Pool Chat brought to you by Total Aquatic Programming, where we bring you the movers and splashers in the aquatics industry and get your opportunity to listen to how they got to where they are, what they did to build their programs and their facilities. And today we are joined by SwimAngelFish. So we have Aileen and Cindy with us. Ladies, welcome.
Thank you
as
so
always,
much for having us.
Oh, our pleasure. And as always, Sue Nelson joining us today also.
Hi, ladies.
Ladies, what we'd like to do is we want to start out with just real simple, give you each an opportunity to give us a little bit about your background, who you are, and what SwimAngelFish is about. So who wants to go first, Cindy or Aileen?
Always Aileen. She's
okay. We got you, Aileen. It's all you.
Well, my background is in physical therapy. I guess I've been a physical therapist since 1988. I don't even want to do the math on that, but I've worked in a lot of traditional settings, in schools, in rehab hospitals, in homes, in outpatient clinics. And I've always loved the water as my enjoyment and my hobby. Of course, I grew up around water. I was a lifeguard. I was a swim instructor. And when we first started, I kept my physical therapy part of my business very separate from my water passion. And in 2000, I had the pleasure of meeting Cindy Friedman because she came and did an in-service at one of the rehab centers that I was working. And she came to talk about aquatic therapy. And I started sending her a lot of kids for aquatic therapy since I was a pediatric physical therapist. And at one point she said, why don't you come and do this with me? I had a real specialty in more of the physically impaired population and individuals that struggled more with motor control and were more wheelchair bound or struggled with different syndromes and things like that. And I came to the pool and Cindy and I would do treatments together and the parents loved it. And what started as a hobby, a couple of afternoons a week after what I thought was my real job, turned into a passion and a love. And I really do owe the explosion of going all aquatic to Cindy pushing me to saying, everybody needs this, everybody wants this. The water is magical. That in conjunction with what we can do as therapists, we're just creating miracles. And I was hooked. So starting in 2000, full time, we did aquatic therapy in the water, PT and OT. And then I'll let Cindy take it away from when we pulled swim lessons into our business.
Well, I'm a recreation therapist and an occupational therapist and a national champion diver a million years ago. And I was an hour and a half late for that in-service with Aileen, and she was still nice to me. So basically everything she said, and we offered occupational physical therapy in the water. We had a huge need for swim lessons. So in 2009, we began developing what is now the Swim Whispers, and we have an adaptive swim component alongside of our therapy component. So we feel really fortunate that we were able to understand what the need was to be able to teach swimmers with all abilities, autism, anxiety, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, what swim instructors might need to add to their toolbox to be able to teach an effective swim lesson. So from our therapy background grew the launch in 2010 of the Swim Whispers, which was workshops. And now, of course, in 2010, and thanks to COVID, we have the most updated versions of all of our aquatic therapy and Swim Whispers online. But we actually went to ATRI with Ruth Sova, and I think, Sue, we might have even met you there, and we went in 2000, and then we spoke there in 2002, and we ran into you many places. I remember at United States Swim School sharing our group aquatic DVD with you at one point. So fast forward now that it's 21 years later, we feel really lucky to be part of your new venture. And Aileen and I really love what we do. I was in the water 10 hours yesterday because due to COVID, we went from 20 locations and 40 staff to now it's kind of back to the beginning and regrowing. And I can tell you that at 9 o'clock, I was as excited as I was when my 6:30 showed up 15 minutes late and I still gave them 45 minutes. So we just, Aileen and I have a magnetic energy of creation and development and new strategies and techniques, whether it's therapy or swim lessons. And because I'm so hyper, the water is like the best place on the planet. And Aileen is just an unbelievable business partner. We meet with a franchise expert every week who helps us with just business development of our certification and growth as humans. And we are really fortunate to be business partners and friends. And I think only 3% of business partnerships survive. So we're just, we're so delighted to be on this webinar. Thank you.
Awesome. That's amazing. I think it's a great feeling when you can find your passion in something, even if you're doing another job or another career, and then suddenly your passion walks up to you and says, here I am, let's go for it. So that's wonderful. So as I did some research, I want to hear just a little bit more about the ideas behind the Swim Whisperers. Obviously, we in the general public hear dog whisperers and horse whisperers, and everybody can talk, you know, to these different. So what led you guys to the idea of the Swim Whisperers?
That is such a great question. Aileen, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, there's the dog whisperer, the baby whisperer, the horse whisperer. And when we first started out, we tried to really delineate what is therapy and what is just a swim lesson without ever considering ourselves a whisperer of anything. You know, when you love what you do and you connect with people and you make a difference, that grows and multiplies. And we would send parents into the community for swim lessons, and they would come back and they said, no one understands my child.
Mm-hmm.
It was that underlying reason of why their child was doing what they were doing that no one understood, that we were essentially the experts of, because that's all we did. We assessed them, we analyzed them, and we figured out what was going on. And that's why we were able to have success. So then we started reaching out to the swim world. We started going to conferences from United States Swim School Association and all over, and we started lecturing, and what we realized was the drowning statistic, and that alarmed us. That drowning was the leading cause of death for those swimmers with autism. And we said, you know what, this is bigger than our therapy world. This is more of a mission, and we can't do it alone. We need to teach others, and we need to reach out to people all around the world and let them know the strategies that we use for success. That led to the development of Swim Whisperers, which we like acronyms, and Swim Whisperers. We use those words to identify the 14 roadblocks or obstacles that you face when you're giving a swim lesson to anyone that has a sensory, motor, anxiety type of challenge or issue, regardless of what their diagnosis is. So once we developed that program and we started doing it within our own practice, we started our swim school, and the success was enormous, and everybody was getting results and everybody loved it. And what broke our hearts were that people needed to travel from so far to get these services. We thought, why can't they get it in their own communities? And we then did a lot of work to then bring our program to an online platform so that it can be accessed anywhere, and it has become international. And we work hard every day to give free resources, to put out case studies, to put out videos, to teach and to educate and to empower others that they can have the success with these children that we do, because it's possible.
That's amazing. One of the key words in there that I kind of took away from that was the understanding part. And I think that for both the, you know, any child that's on the spectrum, is in the adapted range, any of that, is the number one thing that, you know, whether it's swim lessons, school, it doesn't matter. It's understanding what that child needs to be successful. And I think that's where people, when they hear, you know, adapted aquatics type, you know, in like USA Swimming or even in Learn to Swim, I think they take it wrong. I think they think we're changing the sport or how we do things for, you know, that what they would call an ailment, when in fact it's really more of we're adapting for the child so that they can improve and move along. So I really
you're getting us so excited, and I know Cindy's probably jumping out of her skin for this one, because we like to use the word adaptive. because adapt it sounds like it ended. You know what I mean? You change something so they can do it. Adaptive is flexible and growing and changing to meet the individual needs. And I'm going to let Cindy speak on this because I can see she's getting very excited about how we address this. And I also want to say, with the growing population of autism and sensory disorders, it is growing and it is changing. You know, the old way of doing things that only catered to whether you had, you know, blindness or deafness or an amputee, this whole adaptive aquatics realm has to get bigger, because now we're getting swimmers that have such subtle issues that we still need to understand how to connect with them.
Kent, I think that what you brought up is so interesting, because we've had to grow as business owners and professionals and swimming professionals of, you know, trying to help people understand that we could give you more of a systematic approach that will help you if you're a Swim America coach, if your children with challenges, you took the basic course and now you need some more information. If you're a private swim school franchise owner and you have all these kids, this is something that would help an adult or a child, and it would give them the tools of, oh, wow. A tip in our free webinar, by the way, is they don't understand buoyancy. Put on a long sleeve cotton shirt. Doesn't matter if you're an adult, if you're a child that happens to have athetoid cerebral palsy, if you're somebody with Down syndrome, it just provides some strategies and tools. Still teach the way you're teaching, but take a few breaks here and there to understand and address an underlying problem. I mean, one of the case studies we just did, Aileen used vision to help somebody who had cerebral palsy be able to swim front crawl. Once she added the vision, all of a sudden they were able to swim with the forward movement. Without the vision, it didn't work. That's a tip, whether you're 16 or 30 or 60, you could use, and you may not have thought of it. So in the Learn to Swim world, the person that resonates with me the most is a phone call I had with Coach Marty, and she's USA Swimming Level 2 and ASCA certified. And she literally said to me on the phone, I am teaching for a million years. I consider myself an expert. I can't imagine what you could teach me, but because you are a partner and you're giving me a discount, I'm gonna take the class. And yep. she has turned out, she said she had one of her high-end elite swim coaches call me and say, I want these strategies and tips on these reflex exercises because I did something coach told me and my swimmer cut time off of their 50 free. And the kids with ADHD are in the classes, and when we climb out and jump in 3 times, all of a sudden they pay attention for 10 minutes. And she gets so excited and says, I didn't think you could teach me anything. And now she's a level 3 instructor with 11 other certified swim whisperers, and they use it with their Learn to Swim. They use it for kids that have profound issues, whether it's physical or sensory. So I think Aileen and I want people to understand that adaptive aquatics, swimming differently, all abilities, children with challenges, whatever it is, don't go to the pool without doing at least something. We have free online swim tip video that they could get 14 free tips right off the bat. They could read some of our blogs. They could go onto YouTube. Of course, we want people to become swim whisperers, but if you only see a few kids, we want people to know that after 21 years together, we give you some free ideas. Do you agree with that, Aileen?
Definitely.
So Kent, I have some questions for the ladies. I know when we entered into the field of therapy in 2000, swim coaches, along with our aquatic fitness continuum, we didn't recognize at first some of the challenges that we would have for people understanding what we were offering, because they saw us as swim coaches. They see you in the beginning as therapists. And typically in our field, we don't cross boundaries because this is licensed and this is certified. So we had to have strategic plans on how to educate in that. I know we've talked about this with both of you, I have. And how have you found, are you pleased with the number of people coming to you to learn your skills? Because I think one of the #1 skills that I like, that I learned from my therapist was observation skills and what that means. We don't have a lot of that. Tell us a little bit about your experience of working with coaches or fitness people and the Learn to Swim field versus, oh, I'm doing therapy, when they're really not.
This is another excellent question, and I'll start it out, and I know, Cindy, you're going to jump in, but we've had two issues. One issue is the swim schools that say we don't need to do something because we don't see kids that need therapy. We want to let you know it's our background as therapists that help us understand the underlying problem to give you the movement strategies for swimming. We're not teaching you how to do therapy. And what was so wonderful to me was during this pandemic, the Nashville Dolphins approached us. They are an incredible program that provides swim lessons for free for anyone with special needs, which how incredible to be able to do that. And their head instructor said she'd like to get certified. I gave her my cell phone number because she was having trouble getting started. For 3 days, it was a long weekend, I got texts at all hours of the night saying how excited she was, how she's jamming through it. She finished our whole training in a weekend, which we give people 3 months to complete it. And her excitement saying, I finally understand. I feel so validated. I know now why something works and it's not just luck.
Why?
I know now what to do with my groups. And the pride and the validation Cindy and I felt from that, when somebody does the training and they get that validation and it was what they were looking for, incredible. But it's trying to break through to the boundaries and the barriers of explaining to people what it is to help them understand. We are not trying to make anyone therapist. We are just trying to get kids of all abilities safe and independent in the water.
So number wise.
Hold on, I want to follow up on that real quick.
Okay.
Because you've made a couple comments that we see just in the general swimming world. You made use the terms boundaries and barriers. How did you get by? Because one of the boundaries and barriers that we see in professional swim coaches is, especially when they're younger, not really caring about the educational component, not wanting to learn the new stuff, or thinking that, and I go back to the old, football coach that had his football players take ballet, stepping outside of your own area to get information to help your area. So how do you get by that when you start to talk to those people that may be a little hesitant?
We deal with this all the time, and I respect the coaching abilities and the ability to teach swimming that all of these individuals have, and I do not in any way claim to teach how to teach swimming. But what I do know that I can do, and Cindy and I show people, we show them with videos. We take videos in the middle of our workday if somebody says they're having issues with something, because showing them is what's breaking down the barriers. We will show you that if you overcome an obstacle, you go back to doing what you're so good at doing, and it will work. We're here to help you. We're here to be your guides, to be the expert at what you're doing. And we'll stop at nothing. We'll go from free webinars to education, to case studies, to doing talks and spreading the word and spreading the mission. And that's how we're breaking the boundaries.
And I can totally see this now. And you've used the term a number of times, which is mission, that this isn't a job for you guys. This is a mission. Yeah. And I really respect that. So Sue, what was your next one?
I want to know, obviously you can't be every place everywhere. And that was why you went into that next plan of teaching others to do that. So you're teaching them to fish, and that's what, we're all about. So are you pleased with the numbers? Can it go faster? Hopefully things like this will help to get that out. Every aquatic facility can utilize someone with your abilities. So what is your plan of reaching out and getting more people? Are you pleased? Do you need more?
Yeah, we definitely, if I would say, Ken, thank you, because we do want to be the global leaders of adaptive swim education, and we do want to offer free resources. And we just offer now, and I don't know if you've seen the videos, but on YouTube, we're trying to give stories, stories of a 5-year-old with a spinal cord injury, and he wants to show you how he swims alone, or somebody with autism who's using a rescue tube in a swim lesson to inspire anybody at any swim school anywhere, or any parent to be like, wow, I should use a rescue tube, and get them interested in it. So we are passionate about that. And I would say, programming wise, we have probably 200 or 300 people around the world that are swim whisperers. And there is a level 1, level 2, and level 3. Somebody might call from a Jewish community center in Long Island. They took level 1, they loved it. All of a sudden they take level 2 and 3 right away. We have the Guitar Foundation. They have 12, 13 people. They all just started level 2 together. So I think whether you're a YMCA, a private school, a Boys and Girls Club, a residential school, people are finding that it's changing the way that they're teaching swimming. And Sue, instead of kind of having a water experience, they're actually going for some kind of skill. And I would say, with your programming of your business, I have kids right now. I have 2 kids, one that has Down syndrome, one that has self-regulation issues. And I'm sending them to a private swim school because I know that person there has watched some of our free information. Yeah. And I know that I will be able to move them from the Swim Whispers to the community. Our goal with Swim Whispers is that you come for a private Swim Whisper lesson. Hopefully then it can be a semi-private at some point. And then that we can have you go into the community. And Aileen and I really pride ourselves on trying to make relationships in the community so that we can send people to the community and they have success. I have some kids that would be amazing. We call them swim chicks, right, Aileen? They're the swim chicks. If they could go to a community YMCA and do an exercise class where somebody would accommodate them and be happy that they're joining it, that would be a really great vision for some of our kids that are now teenagers. We have a girl who has been with us since she's 2 years old. She's 19. She has cerebral palsy. She's able now to go to Lifetime Fitness, transfer into the chair with a little help, and swim 20 laps. And talk about boundaries and barriers. At first, people were like asking the lifeguard to get her because she doesn't look like the best swimmer. Right. And now at 9 o'clock, she goes, the older gentleman in the lane next to always says hello. Like, she's beginning to get some social, breaking down the barriers from the front desk. So talk about diversity and inclusion and being able to move through different programs. I think that's what Aileen and I are excited about. What are people going to do if they're not going to have a full-time job and they maybe have some sensory issues or anxiety or autism or a physical disability? Wow, the pool is so free, and an opportunity to educate with diversity and inclusion being such a big topic right now. It's really, really necessary, and it's such a great place to be.
And and I'm sure Kent's feeling that. Mick is sitting here next to me. That's our mission. It comes on the programming and the facility side, making that community have access to all these services. That's exactly what we started within our facility, working through our early intervention birth to 3 program, and then progressing on, and then progressing to the community programs. But it was all happening in our facilities. So when we got out into the world the last 16 years, we now see what you're talking about, because you are not all in one-stop place, one-stop shopping. You create it, and then you have to link to these facilities. That's where I'm hoping that we can work together with these facilities, where when they're training their Learn to Swim program, that's where this should start. Water safety, Learn to Swim, and progressing right through into an aquatic fitness program, or on the swim team, or just self-exercise by themselves. And so our missions do match. And that's where we want to work together to teach others to learn about the why. And we're seeing this in fitness with the Wavemaker program. her whole program is about teaching the why and teaching the fitness instructors to become coaches.
WHY.
What's that?
WHY, not Y as in why the aquatic center.
Yeah, right.
Not the
why
Y
behind what you're doing. Because we're not taught that. We're just taught, here's the skill, but this is the outcome.
I also think I would just like to really point out on this webinar, and Aileen and I feel this often, is whether you're a parent of a 2 or 3 year old that has some kind of challenge, or whether you're a parent of somebody who's 20 or 30 year olds that has some kind of challenge. What is the aquatic expectation and what should they look for? We have clients that go to a swim program and hang on a barbell for a year and come to us in one lesson, experience so much success because we had a systematic approach to address and to teach them and to help the parents understand swimming is possible. We have a 6'2" boy who happens to have nonverbal autism, and he swims on a swim squad with 2 boys that are 8 or 9 that have ADHD, and they swim amazing because they follow each other and the parents are thrilled. It isn't okay for parents to not understand or not to see the potential of their swimmer because they're coming to aquatic professionals and asking them this is your specialty, what can you do for me? And the lessons come to us time and time again. Can one of our kids go to a water aerobic class and be accepted by the instructor with diversity inclusion and do what they can do? And personally, I have a 24-year-old girl that just came to me, and she has a developmental disability. And I'm going to be honest with you. I thought, what am I going to be able to do? She's jumped and splashed for 20 years. And believe it or not, in 4 lessons, they said, you never get flippers on her. I got flippers on her feet.
Yeah.
She actually independently swam for 7 minutes in the deep end with flippers on and took the side. So now the potential is, can we teach her to swim a lap? That's amazing. That's life-changing for her.
I also wanted to bring it back to what you said, Kent, when you said, like, how do we break down those barriers? And exactly what you said, Sue, if you start educating facilities about all that they could be doing and they're open to this, the barrier is broken right in the beginning. Yeah. And it's not like we have to explain why something like this is important. Yeah. So we really appreciate that mission that you have.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And everybody who's in aquatics is seeing either a child or an adult that has some sensory issues, or that has some attention issues, or that has significant impairments. Like, we're seeing them in group classes, and we can better help swim instructors understand little strategies and techniques to do within a group so that they have more success and can teach faster with less discomfort or with increased comfort. So Swim Whispers is a program that's online. We don't teach you how to teach swimming. We teach you and give you a toolbox of strategies to strengthen and complement whatever way you're choosing to teach swimming. Another pillar of our business, which is completely separate, is you're coming to us for aquatic physical therapy or occupational therapy, and we're offering strength, coordination, endurance, respiration, movement, reflexes. They're separate pieces of business. And hopefully with our online pillar and with our free resources and our partnerships with people like you, people will begin to understand, yeah, I want to take 20 minutes to watch that lifeguarding video because I want to complement my lifeguard skills with what I could do if somebody comes in a wheelchair or somebody's covering their ears and running. So the 5 free online videos are for anybody in the aquatic world to strengthen whatever their specialty is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So when we would work with our Learn to Swim instructors and we talk to them, we often, always talk to them about their toolbox and the idea that we're going to give them the tools to put in their toolbox. If they choose to take them out and use them, that's their choice. But here's the tools you need. And one of the things that we always taught was, don't be so stuck to the plan. Don't feel like, you can plan a lesson out, but if something's not working, feel free to move on and change styles. Go from floating to kicking, or use your arms front to back and all of that. So when you guys talk about your toolbox of strategies to overcome roadblocks, what are a couple of key points that you would want people to take away from that?
That's so funny. It's just so funny because over COVID, swim whisperers, the letter P was petrified to let go of the side. And now, Kent, the letter P is problems with a plan. And teaching rigidity and teaching reactive. Those are other two of our roadblocks, swim whisperers, the R's. One is reactive and one is rigid. Are you able to look at yourself and say, oh my gosh, my child isn't the rigid one, I'm the rigid one. Or I'm not the rigid one, the parent is the rigid one. Or, wow, I really react when they do this. It's really not them reacting. And overall with swim whisperers, the flexibility and adaptability within a plan is sometimes, as you probably have seen, it's sometimes pretty tricky to help an instructor. You know, if they're going with a lesson plan of you swim, float, swim, or you do your back and then you roll over and take side 5 feet, but this kid is just bobbing up and down and not listening, can they go to 2 minutes of bobbing and have fun and go back to their plan? It's really hard because we all have our routines. Aileen, I'm sure you have things to add.
I mean, I just wanted to say, and the person that does this best is the instructor that has the self-awareness to know and be open to it. You can't teach somebody flexibility. So there will be, you know, certain instructors that take to these things so automatically because they have that key component of that self-awareness.
And I always add in, when we're looking for individuals to teach a certain class or to be with a certain group of people, that it's okay if you're not comfortable working with people with challenges, and give them that it's okay.
Exactly.
Don't make them feel bad because it's only going to be a disaster. So that's very much so. Some people just thrive in it, releases their creativity, and they just keep building and building. Others are just so frightened, you can tell what it's all about.
Yeah.
So we've seen a trend in Learn to Swim over the last probably 15 to 20 years of the Learn to Swim instructors' ages lowering, going to more of our senior level swimmers. Even some instructors, especially in large organizations, they'll go as low as 13 or 14 years old. So when you're dealing, you know, and a lot of times we get kids in to Learn to Swim who parents may not even know at that point that their child is on the spectrum or has an issue that this is going to exacerbate the situation. And we're giving those to teenagers and young 20-some-year-olds that, you know, probably aren't figuring their own lives out very well. But how does this program, what you guys work with, what have you seen that for that level of teacher, for the younger teachers? Does it tend to give them more confidence in working with them? I know we always found that when we used our senior swimmers, I actually got better swimmers out of them because they learned to talk through their strokes and what a stroke looks like and things like that. So do you see that with your instructors where maybe it starts to translate out of the water and how they're dealing with, as you say, adaptive or children with challenges?
So I think there's a two-part answer here. The first is that's what makes the program that we're doing so powerful. It's not diagnosis specific. So a young swim instructor doesn't need to understand the diagnosis. They need to see that, okay, this person is seeking sensory input. They just keep going to the bottom, they keep splashing, and they are not following my directions. Boom, 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 you look up that roadblock. Here's 6 or 7 things that I can put in my toolbox to overcome that. The key with our program is assessing the right roadblock. So you might uncover, okay, they're seeking sensory input, but now I'm also realizing they are very rigid and I need to do things a certain way with them. And it's about just having the tools to understand what you're seeing in the water. So how does that relate to getting out of the water? And when you get out of the water, first of all, by being able to connect with someone that is unreachable and difficult to connect with, having the power to do that changes your self-confidence, changes your ability to connect with all people when you learn that skill. And that's one thing I feel like our instructors just feel grateful and proud when they're able to do that. The other thing is our swimmers, when they're able to accomplish something in the water that was really hard, it's carrying over to their life. They're suddenly able to take a shower. They're suddenly able to sit for a haircut. Things are happening to them and to their bodies that are carrying over into all aspects of what they do. I don't know if I answered that completely, but I'll let
No, that was
Cindy
perfect.
piggyback.
Yeah, that was very, very good. And what I'd like to tag into that it keeps going back into my mind, that continuum from your program. It's water safety and fitness, particularly for this population. The number one treatment prescription is exercise. And we know that they can functionality wise on land after they've been in the water, but they can also do so much more in the water that transforms over. So I think talking to facilities is our Learn to Swim must have this kind of training, because it's not only good for special populations, special needs, but it's good for everybody to understand why they're doing something. And so that facility starts from their swim instructors to their water exercise coaches, and they have a better understanding to be able to develop programs to keep them going. So it's good for the facility, it's good for the community. And that's where I see this tie-in with all of us.
And we all know the benefits of fitness and exercise and how you release serotonin and you feel good. And if you're somebody with behavioral issues, you have less of the aggressive behaviors after being in the water. If you're someone in a wheelchair, being in the water is your only means of aerobic exercise. We could go on and on. Individuals with Down syndrome that tend to be low tone and gain weight easily, to be able to swim a few times a week, what a great way to be able to exercise.
Yeah.
It's wonderful.
So as I said earlier, I did a little digging around your website and getting information. I've been there a number of times, but I wanted to get some deeper information. I want to hear about your experience on Good Morning America.
Do you want to talk about that, Cindy?
No, go ahead.
I mean,
Well,
you
what is
the
want to be 100% honest?
The fact that somebody found us on social media and blew our mind, and we thought it was a joke.
Oh my!
So I thought it was a spam email.
Oh,
But
really?
I'll write back and see what happens. And, the person found us on our social media. And during COVID, that was our silver lining. We really worked on connecting through social media, getting better about posts, getting better about stories, and working on some of the infrastructure details that we're a little bit older. We're not the quickest at like the hashtags and what's important with all of these IGTV, all of it. And we were learning and we were trying. And when the comment came back, I found you on social media, I thought, wow.
Wow.
And we set up a Zoom call, and they said that, they'd be interested in doing something. Someone would contact us, whatever. And it all happened within a 2-week period. So it was a big interest. Everybody had downtime at that moment and was looking for more stories. And we luckily have tons of video on our phones because you couldn't be in the pool really at that time.
Right.
And tons of stories. And we were able to just virtually make all of the connections and have them put this story out. And it reached
Awesome.
a lot of people.
That's
Awesome.
amazing. Those opportunities come along once in a lifetime, it seems like. That's great.
Well, we're going to let you know when we get on the Ellen show, because we really love Ellen.
There we go. Okay. We'll have to start a Get Us On Ellen hashtag.
I do tag her on all of my stuff already.
Thank you. See, I'm still learning all that stuff.
So as a uncle who has nieces and nephews on both sides of my family that are on the spectrum, a son that is on the spectrum, has some anxiety issues, I find it comforting when I see on your site that you are a certified autism center. So tell us a little bit about what that means for your organization, and how you guys kind of got to that level?
It's actually such a tricky question because we've struggled sometimes with the Learn to Swim program and with the Swim Whispers of, you know, we want people, anybody that has autism or a sensory issue, to know Swim Whispers is the place to come. But we also really try to make sure that anybody with Down syndrome or cerebral palsy or Fragile X, or so it's so funny because we want people to understand that this will work for anyone.
Yeah.
And we don't want to be in the niche of that we are just specific to autism. But the strategies within Swim Whispers, and I'm sure you can relate to that, like one of them is interpreting touch. If you touch somebody under the water, where the water and the skin, if you're kicking their feet and you touch their skin under the water with the viscosity, it's a much different feeling if they're sitting on the edge and you're touching their feet. Some kids with sensory issues will be totally allowing it if they're in the water, and if their legs are out of the water, they will be like, ouch, it hurts. Yeah. So our strategies for people who have autism, it works so well. So when the opportunity came up and they reached out to us, Aileen and I had a discussion about it, and we really thought that it's important for people to understand, especially with the drowning statistic and the difficulty of kids learning to swim in a typical way. We thought it was a really important thing to add to our skill set. So Aileen, if you want to talk a little bit.
I want to just say that I know it's hard over these things to really know the kind of person we are as core people, but I'm just going to share with you that we practice what we preach. And if we preach to others, you should be educated, you should be certified. I will do whatever it takes to do the same for myself personally. If I give you advice about your child, it is going to be heartfelt advice that I would do with my child. Like, I am all in, and I know Cindy is the same. And when we saw this certification was available, even though it dealt more with legal aspects and laws and school and psychology studies, I said, I'm doing it. We said, we're doing it. We want our company a part of it. We believe that we need to educate and rise up to better serve this community and stay on top of everything that's out there.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think that is a powerful point that you are. What I see happening when I talk to others is, oh, we're developing an autistic program. We're developing, and they sort of forget the physical side of how important that is. So I think all of us have to remember to always include. I think that's why Jill, Tina, and I went to Children with Challenges, trying to show everybody that you can benefit from SwimAngelFish with any challenge, and not trying to categorize it. But I understand developing a certain program. But I really want it to expand to the mental and physical aspects, for sure.
I so love that comment from you, because you have so much experience in the aquatic field, and that happens all the time. We have a program for kids with autism. We have a program, and Aileen's example of the Nashville Dolphins, you know, they've been around 20 years, and their training, they did some certain trainings for adaptive swim. And when they got a hold of Swim Whispers, the comments that they kept leaving on our Teachable were mind-blowing. They were like, how did we ever live without this? They have 15 certified Swim Whispers now, and they are so hungry for each aspect, whether it's engagement and interaction, whether it's rigidity or reacts, or interpreting touch, or how do I control my body and breath. And sometimes when we meet people or facilities or places and they say, oh, we're developing our own program, I think Aileen and I are here to say, you don't need to develop your own program. You can add the Swim Whispers to whether you are. We had somebody from British Swim School that actually came to work for us, and she knew swimming better than I would ever know swimming. And for her, it was teaching her not to have the rigidity of the plan, structure, so that it could be flexible to integrate it. And I feel like there is no need for anyone. I mean, Aileen and I are both in our late 50s. We've done this forever. I'm telling you it works. I'm telling you, there was a boy who had some mild sensory issues, and I was seeing his brother. He was 7 years old. And I said to the mom, does he swim? She said, he's been taking swimming lessons at the local blah, blah, blah for 2 years. He's doing great, except he won't go underwater. Well, you need to submerge. In 20 minutes, I didn't touch him. He was on the step, and all I did was the strategies from underwater. And I can't say what they all are, but after 20 minutes, he went underwater and the mom was crying. And she said, what do I owe you? And I said, you don't owe me anything. I never even knew it worked that good.
Yeah.
So I've seen it work, and I'm sure Aileen too, especially Aileen's teaching a lot of swimming lessons right now. And it's mind blowing to have the parents poolside being so blown away with some project when it was a strategy that like anybody could do.
Yeah. Well, this is so good because I can tell you the three of us within our aquatic facility have experienced exactly what you're talking about, that parents get to see. I remember the first day that little Aiden took his first step, and they said he would never walk, and he did it in the pool with Mick. And he's 21 years old today.
Yep.
We stay in touch with him. So other facilities have not really got the whole idea. Come on over.
Okay.
Have not got the whole idea that you teach the skills and then you develop programs to take care of fitness and independence in every person. So
I've been quietly listening. I've got one comment. I remember the first time I was introduced to you guys, it was in Savannah, Georgia. It was part of the Starfish leadership.
Chatham Aquatic Center.
Yeah.
Chatham Aquatic Center. And we actually, again, I sat in the back and listened very carefully. And then when we went to the pool for a water station. And nobody knew who I was. I didn't have on USA Swimming shirt or anything else.
they knew who you were.
I had on a polo. I'm talking about the people in the aquatic center.
Oh, okay.
And you were over in the programming pool, the warmer water pool, and was watching what you were doing. And I was sitting up there with the parents. And I turned around to one of the parents and I said, so tell me what's going on. And we ended up with a 20-minute conversation, and other parents joined in. They still didn't know who I was or why I asked the question. And I was impressed on the fact that whoever had worked with them previously had taken time to bring the parent into the triangle. Because in any sport, in any activity, we've always got the triangle between the parent and the child and the coach or the instructor. And this was planned progress. And I think that is so important. You've alluded to it many, many times, but you're with them for 45 minutes and the parents is then with them the other 23 hours and 15 minutes. And so I think that is huge. And I think whatever I've seen that you guys have done have always included that. And that's something that is rare in a lot of any kind of programs, but especially in aquatic programs. So that's a good thing.
I'm so happy you said that, because to us it goes without saying. And I
know.
never realized in the swim world that is a missing link, but in the world of special needs, the parent is the expert on their child. So I so appreciate you acknowledging that. And I didn't realize it was so unique.
It's rare. You'd be surprised how many coaches in the coaching field, one of the tongue-in-cheek things is I want to coach at a orphanage, you know, and I would prefer it to be for the people that can't speak. And I want it to be on site where parents aren't involved. They're missing every point of a successful program. So we don't do it as well as we should in competitive swimming. We don't do it nearly as well as we should in learn to swim, especially in private sector. We walk in and visit these places, and parents are all on their phones and never looked up. The first thing I would do if I still went to swim school was I said, "Here's the basket, turn in your phone." I want you to watch so that you can reinforce afterwards. We don't do that. And so you guys are definitely a leg up on that. I just wanted to mention that because that's just one of the things that sets you aside and above most other people that are trying to do this.
And one of the bigger things that we instituted in our Learn to Swim was making sure that the parents understood the terminology, the language, and what we were doing. Because it occurred to us after going out and seeing these families at public pools and country clubs that the parents were in the water with the kids, and we were seeing an issue because they would use their own language and this stuff, and then it becomes a conflict between parent and teacher. Who's saying what? Who do I listen to? And that's even tougher when you're dealing with, you know, adaptive children, because they're programmed to listen to their parents at that point. So we found that the more you can bring parents in, the better. So I want to set a situation for you and get a quick answer. This is kind of like our rapid fire session. So the situation is you're in the grocery store, you have a SwimAngelFish shirt on, somebody comes up to you and says, I've heard about SwimAngelFish, what is it? What's your grocery store response?
That's good.
Are you asking for my elevator pitch?
Yeah.
I call it the grocery store response because we can't be so close in an elevator anymore.
Good
Swim
point.
Angelfish is a program that works with children of all abilities on getting them safe and independent in the water with swim lessons, aquatic therapy, and educating others on how to do what we do.
Very good.
And it's funny because I was at the pool Friday with a friend, and a woman looked at me and I had this shirt on, and she goes, just so you know, I'm looking up your shirt right now. That's my son. He has terrible ADHD and he can't participate in the lessons. Do you think you can help me? And I said, absolutely. We provide strategies and techniques to overcome roadblocks, and I will happily see him, and I'm sure we can work with him privately and get him back into the group class. It does happen.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
He was over with like an inflatable, flipping upside down, going up and down, splashing around. And the aquatic director walked over and she's like, I'm going to go see this girl and come back to my classes. And I wasn't even working. I was just there for fun.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
I wanted to mention that we do have on the online videos that are free, we do offer, Kent, a free parent tips. And the parent tips is for anybody that has any swimmer with any kind of challenge, kind of to help them understand a little bit what they're seeing. Like you said, the parent and the child are so connected with sort of the rules and the routines that it helps them understand, oh, if I see them doing multiple bobs, multiple times holding their breath, that's something I should intervene with because I don't want underwater breath holding. If I see them splashing and kicking and all of these things, I understand now it's because of these reasons. So we did create, basically because a parent asked me, he said, why does Daniel always splash the water? He's been coming 5 years. He never stopped splashing. And then when I told him, he said, how come you never told me that before? So we did create parent tips online video. And
what's the best way for, we've talked a lot about, you've mentioned a lot about the free videos and all the webinars and things like that. What's the best way for people to get to that?
You know, that's a good question too, because it used to be go to YouTube, find our channel, do this.
Yeah.
All you have to do now is go on our website, swimangelfish.com, and there's a big orange button in the top right, free videos or free resources. Just click that.
Very nice.
Okay.
So like, one of the things I like to end with when we do these is what is called a pod deck. So this is a deck of fun questions, okay? And it's very simple. I shuffle, and I'm gonna pull a card right out of the middle. And this card says, oh, this is perfect for you guys. What's the funniest thing you've seen a kid do?
I think it would be rip off their bathing suit under in the deep and they're 200 pounds and require me to wrestle them to some place where I can get something to cover it up because he's not coming out of the pool. Meanwhile, there's hotel guests in the water.
Oh, yeah.
Funny, but not funny all at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Aileen?
Funniest thing I've ever done was I guess it was more of a teaching moment where I never realized how literal the swimmers that I work with are. And I gave them instructions. Like, I know Cindy always tells the story, like, look before you leap kind of thing, trying to get somebody to jump in. And they looked and they leaped, or they did exactly what I said, but it wasn't exactly what I meant.
Yeah.
What I say, not what I mean.
Yeah.
And,
Okay.
and our funniest business story would be going to teach a course in Rhode Island with noodles practically sticking out of the car, getting pulled over by the police and getting an escort to where we needed to go.
Very
Oh
nice.
my gosh.
Actually, can I also give my funniest Cindy story?
Oh,
It
here
would
we
be when she was 9 months pregnant and couldn't fit in her bathing suit. So she took her car keys and made an X across the stomach of her bathing suit so her stomach could come through and she could go to work.
Ah, felt so good.
He may have just created a whole new swim line.
Expanding the suit.
Well,
Yeah.
ladies, we definitely thank you. I think anybody that watches this video is going to feel your mission. And I don't say understand it, they're going to feel it. Because to me, everything you do is with passion, is with heart, with soul. And I think that there are a few people in this world that are truly making a difference, and you definitely are two of them that are making a difference, not only in the aquatics industry, but in the lives of every child you touch.
We're really grateful and mindful of our relationship, and it's so appreciative, and we're so happy to connect with Total Aquatic Programming. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you both so much.
Absolutely.